In 3, 2, 1.
People ask me, why do you have so many wigs? I'm an actor, writer in LA, and my home base kind of is the Groundlings. It's a sketch and improv theater in school, and we do sketches with wigs. One of my dear friends there, who also directed me in shows there, is a man named Jordan Black. Besides him being hilarious, like one of the most hilarious improvisers I've ever seen, he's also a great writer, actor. He's written on Saturday Night Live, currently writing on The Wonder Years. He also created an improv show called The Black Version. Him and his all-black cast taking a suggestion from the audience of a popular movie, and then they improvise the black version of it. It's hilarious.
It's beyond hilarious. I promise you. My guest is Jordan Black. We're talking this segment. We're going to talk about his production, and I'll let him explain it. It's called The Black Version, and it's really anytime it plays. If you haven't seen it, you can go online to theblackversion.com and you can find their dates. And Jordan is at Fake Jordan Black on Twitter and Instagram. And there's another guy named Jordan Black on Instagram. He's a really well-built guy. I don't know if he's like a muscle guy.
How dare you? How dare you assume that's not me?
You should say that. So tell us, how did the Black Version start?
I, for years, always had this idea in my mind, like, ooh, wouldn't it be fun to have an all-black improv show at some point? But the problem was I just didn't know enough black improvisers. There was always like maybe 1 or 2 more, and I felt like that's not enough to put together a really good show. So as the years went by, I never forgot that idea. And one day it dawned on me, just from doing, like I met Gary Anthony Williams on a movie, and it was an improv movie, so I knew he could improvise. So I met him and had him come do shows with us at the Groundlings improv shows. And then I met Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele doing the Gas show separately. You know, they would come as guests on the Gas show. And so I met them both separately.
That's the Thursday night show at the Groundlings.
That's the Thursday night show, yeah.
Right. I always tell people, if you're going to go to the Groundlings, go on Thursday night. I think that's my favorite Groundlings show. But if you want
great show,
crazy
fun. And then that's how I met Cedric Yarbrough, was doing the Gas show as well. And one day I was like doing the math and realized, wait, that's like 7 funny black people I know. Like it's Phil Lamar, who's an alum of the Groundlings, and Daniel Gaither, who's an alum of the Groundlings. I knew them both from the Groundlings. And then by the time I added the rest of them, I was like, that's enough for a show. We should do a show. And I just wanted to do I was just going to do short form, you know, like a Gas show type show. Right. And then at the last second, I thought, well, what's the fun of having an all black cast if you're not going to lean into that? Right. So I was trying to think of something to do. And so I just thought really just as just a throwaway idea, because I was just going to do it as a one-off, one night only kind of thing. Just to hang out with them was the real thing, Tim, is I wanted to just hang out with my friends who I never get to see. Right. And so I said, well, why don't we do something long form, and maybe we could get like a movie, and then maybe since we're all black, we'll do a black version of that. And it was like, I didn't think anything more of it than that.
Right.
And people lost their minds on that premise. Like we showed up to do the show and there was a line around the block, show was sold out, people were turned away. And we're like, wait, what? What's happening? This is an improv show.
This is just like a one night.
It was a one night only thing. Like, let's all just do this one night only thing that we'll probably never do again because nobody's going to come see it. I was like, nobody's going to come to this, but we will have fun. And then, you know, if we feel like doing it again, maybe in a year, maybe we will. But then that night we realized, oh, we're kind of onto something here. Yeah. We might want to book some more shows.
It's so funny. It reminds me of, speaking more Groundling talk, but when Paul started his midnight show at the Groundlings, it just sort of, you know, by the time the Black Version came around, the Groundlings has their own, you know, they are the Groundlings, they're their own thing. But when Paul did the Pee Wee show, the Groundlings was struggling. It was not, you know, he really put that place on the map. But I feel like the same sort of excitement, like, hey, have you seen the Pee Wee show, is for the Black Version, because people will say, have you seen the Black Version? And I tell people to go, and they always get back to me like, oh my God, was that funny? It's something you have to see at least once. I've seen it maybe 4 or 5 times and laugh so much each time. And you mentioned a bunch of names in your cast, and you've had some big like guest card, like I'm looking at Wayne Brady's come in, and and Tiffany Haddish, and but how did you choose Karen Moriyama as your director, other than knowing her?
Yeah, I mean, I always liked Karen's style, her directing style. She's really tough, which I like. And so I knew I wanted somebody really tough who would really like sharpen the show and make sure it's the best it can be. And also I knew I couldn't have a white person direct it. So, and all the funny black improvisers I knew who could direct it, I wanted them on stage. It's like none of us are going to step off the stage and direct it when we'd rather be in it.
Right.
So it was always like, only way to find a director of the show would have to be somebody who's a really good improviser as well. And if they're a really good black improviser, why aren't you on stage with us?
Right.
So Karen, being a Japanese American, felt like that was in the right space, acceptable to have another minority direct us. And then, and also she's just the best at teaching improv, directing improv.
And people who aren't familiar with these long form improv shows, a director really is an important job because they can set up the next scene. They can direct the scene to go a certain direction. They can stop a scene in the middle and take a new suggestion from the audience that then fuels the what's going on stage. And your show particularly, I think it's really important. And
also because our show is also a musical pretty much. Like we do a lot of songs. We have a really great band. And we do a lot. So that's the thing that Karen will stop and say, okay, well, they're going to sing about this now. What style of music do you want it in? Or something like that. And we'll break into song in the middle of a scene. And it's really funny and really fun.
Was Willie Etra your first musician?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. I know the first time I remember seeing them. Yeah. Which again is with the improv, the music thing. There's a groundling guy who doesn't get enough credit is Ray Colcord.
Yeah.
Who sort of really brought like the synthesizer and all kinds of sounds and music to the show. And it really, he was really an integral part.
It elevated the comedy because it just you could score a scene, you could do a musical number, you could he really laid the groundwork for all of that and made it just a integral part of what the Groundlings do. And
now the black version, it's like you told me it's played in New York and and
DC. We did the Kennedy Center. We've had two. We've done it on 2 different years. We've gone and done the Kennedy Center. Last time was last year. We did 4 shows, and right before the pandemic, we did 2 shows there. And so that's been great. And we've done it in Canada a couple of times. We do the San Francisco Sketch Fest every year, including this January we'll be back. So go to sketchfest.com and buy tickets to that. So all over the place though. We've been to Louisville. Yeah.
And you were saying when we had breakfast recently and you were saying it's like, it's not an easy show to book. Like I was like, why isn't the show? Because there's at least 5 cast members.
Right.
And a director and a musician.
And at least 2 musicians to travel with.
You got to go, and they all got to have hotel rooms, and it's not like booking a stand-up, and you can put them, in a Red Roof Inn, and they're fine. It's like,
like a stand-up, you can book a stand-up, pay them $5,000, put them in a hotel for a night or 2, and that's your overhead.
Yes.
With us, it's like you got to book a nice hotel because we're all grown and we're not college kids. We only do this for fun.
Yes.
So you can't afford to pay this cast to do this show. So it has to at least be comfortable. So, we have to have a nice hotel. We will fly coach. We don't mind. We're not above flying coach. And, but that's a lot of plane tickets, a lot of hotel rooms. So it gets really expensive. So we mostly perform in LA.
And again, I know we talked about, because I just love this show so much that I'm really like surprised. Maybe things have changed since we had breakfast, but I just, and this, I'm just saying for the sake of the audience, this would be an amazing TV show to be able to do a different movie each week with your cast. I just think that's like a no-brainer. And I do think at some point you'll get that done. Because
fingers crossed, we've been having this conversation for as long as we've been doing the show, which is 13 years, with different entities and networks and things like that. It has not come together, but you never know. It could still happen at some point.
Well, it's just so easy to do.
Yeah.
And then my last question is just about, because again, what you do is they take a suggestion from the audience. Like they make up a famous movie, like
Mhm.
Killers of the Flower Moon. Like you
Mhm.
might get that next time.
Mhm.
And then what Jordan and the company do is improvise a black version of that movie.
Mhm.
Just gets really, really funny. And I got to say that Danielle Gaither has no problem getting dirty. And
Right.
it's really, really funny. Like it takes about maybe 45 seconds into it, at least maybe the second or third time I saw it. And
Yeah.
she went for something that was so dirty and funny. And just like, then it's like the cat's out of the bag and they just,
Yeah.
it's really funny. Okay, we're going to take another break. I'm talking to Jordan Black, producer of the Black Version. You can see it on blackversion.com. He's at Fake Jordan Black on Twitter. I'll pump My Show Sprung on Amazon, which is now on Amazon. It started out on Freevee. Now it's on Amazon too. And there might be some news about that coming soon, which would be, I mean, positive news, not just
I would love if you were plugging bad news.
like plug it bad news. That's what I thought when you wouldn't go see the Groundlings. I thought for a second, like maybe they stink and I've wasted all this time taking class and like I'm so much better than them.
No, God, no. Oh
Yeah.
my God, no. The opposite.
And I always thank Jeremiah Higgins. He's here, producer, and Dr. D, the engineer. Okay, we're done segment 2. We're going to move on. And you are listening to It's Radio with TV's Tim Stack.